Coming up today on Eagle Eyes on Tech, an actual insurrection has happened in Nepal over banning social media. We'll get into some details on that. Microsoft thinks they know why SSDs are breaking on the latest Windows 11 update. Apple has announced a bunch of new things, including a brand new iPhone, and I don't mean the iPhone 17. And Nintendo releases the retro port to a console no one asked for. All that and more coming today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, North Sui. I'm Goodberry. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. We've got quite a bit to talk about today. And let me tell you, there has been a lot of political news in the news sphere. We're not going to talk about a good chunk of the real news. The only thing I'm going to get to really is going to be what's going on in the rest of the world. All right. Here in the US, of course, a lot of talks about the political assassination. I don't want to touch it. All right. I really don't, because I want to make sure this podcast stays focused on tech news. That being said, so no one gets the wrong idea, political violence bad. Always. That also being said, Nepal is now being ruled by Discord. The country of Nepal tried to ban social media use within the country, and the country went ahead and very angrily said, how about no? To then go ahead and throw an actual insurrection, actually burn down the parliament building, and actually overthrow the government. To which then the new prime minister was voted on Discord. I don't have a whole lot of the details yet on this story. This is still just kind of very, very fresh. And also, quite honestly, the first time I heard this, I said, really cool. What movie is that? Only to find out that no, reality is writing better movies than Hollywood. And then I needed a good 10 minutes to just let that sink in and then just sit on a couch and stare at the ceiling going, we live in a society. But if you ever wonder just how strong the need is for social media and its effects on people, because it's one thing to say, oh, it's easy to just sign off Twitter or Facebook for a bit. I'll just go ahead and just not really care a whole lot. Because I've been off Twitter, to be completely honest, since Wednesday. I've been off it since Wednesday. Ever since the assassination news in the US, I was like, you know what? No. I'm off. I'm out. Don't want to deal with this. I don't need this in my life. I'm gonna go focus on my own life for a bit. So that's where we're at right now. Other countries are debating on banning social media and studying its effects on people as well. Is this what's going to happen elsewhere? I honestly don't know. And to also be fair, we don't know if it's solely because social media was banned. I don't know the history, and I don't think many people know what the history. There could have been just like years upon years of corruption, mismanagement within the country of Nepal. I don't know. But that is currently the latest, that the parliament building, the capital of Nepal, is on fire, and the One Piece flag is currently on the gates of the burning building. Well, that's interesting. Hopefully nothing crazier happens. We truly live in a society. Someone in chat says from what they heard, the government was corrupt. I've heard those rumblings too. I was not able to find confirmation, mostly because every news source in existence is only talking about the assassination. So it's been very difficult to get news on that. So I'm sure we're going to be hearing more about this as time progresses. For now, all we can do, wait and see. Meanwhile, and far more lighthearted news, I just want to get the heavy stuff like right out of the way. All right, we got the heavy stuff gone. Let's turn to slightly lighter stuff. You remember when Google said, don't worry, that the open web is thriving and they should be allowed to continue to develop AI and scour the web to feed its AI because the open web is still alive? In a new court document, Google is now saying that the open web is in rapid decline. Now, it's very easy to say, oh man, Google's come to their senses. They now realize that harvesting data from the open web to feed the great AI machine is bad. Oh, they've come to their senses. We're free. I have a better take for you. The better take is that Google would say whatever the heck they want in court to get a ruling to go their way. So before I see another headline saying Google says the open web is flourishing or the open web is dying or AI is good or AI is bad, I just want to go out and point and say that Google will go ahead and lie and say whatever the heck they want and invent whatever study they want as long as it gets whatever Google wants. Just saying. So people in chat are saying that there might be some Chinese subversions in play with what's going on in Nepal. China and India might be involved. Very well could be. It would not surprise me at all if there was a far, 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 far bigger force at play than just Discord mods trying to go ahead and play a role in this. Someone in chat says Google AI is killing traffic to websites. Why click when Gemini can pull information? There is that. A lot of people have just been trusting the AI search, and thus they never go and actually visit any website, which is the whole purpose of search, was to help the open web thrive. Here's my counterpoint to using the AI. I've had it about 50-50 where Gemini has given me incorrect information to what I asked and had to go look it up anyway. So like, I agree. Okay. I agree. The AI search is absolutely devastating to the open web and will eventually kill not only AI search, but also the spreading of information as a whole. What needs to happen is distrust of the AI. That's what really needs to happen in order to save the open web. And there is good reason to distrust the AI. Word just needs to get out that distrust needs to happen to the AI. It just is what it is. Getting to increasingly lighter-hearted news. I actually think I'm going to move this story a little bit. There we go. An underseas cable in the Red Sea was cut, which disrupted internet across Asia, the Middle East, India, and Pakistan. Now, it didn't completely cut out the internet. We're not so bad that we've gone ahead and all of the internet is provided through one cable at the bottom of the Red Sea. Not quite that bad, though it may seem like it. But it was, in fact, did slow down the internet drastically over the area. Now, the actual incident, nobody is sure what caused it. In fact, realistically, it's more than likely an accident, if I had to guess. Could have been some sea life chewed through it. Could have been, I mean, who knows, right? I seriously doubt that it caused that was caused by a deliberate attack, but it's difficult to rule out. So for now, all we can do is speculate and wait and see. Meanwhile, though, Amazon wants to go ahead and compete directly with Starlink with their own Project Cooper? I don't know how it's pronounced. But this high-speed internet test will theoretically be able to provide up to 1.2 gigabits per second anywhere across the world. This is just a test run, of course, so it's not going to be available to everyone, nor is it going to be truly worldwide yet, but it is supposed to go ahead and compete with Starlink, which after seeing some of the prices on Starlink, I think is a good thing. We should go ahead and compete with that and try to get the price of that sort of thing down. So for now, we wait and see how it's going to go. You've now got the war of Amazon versus Elon waging once again. Now, Windows, if you don't know this, Windows 11 had an update, and this update was bricking SSDs. SSDs that specifically used a very specific SSD controller. Now, Windows has allegedly solved the problem, but they're saying that the root cause is due to these SSDs having pre-release engineering firmware versions on the solid state drives. That is apparently the culprit. It's not Windows's fault. It's because a bunch of these manufacturers just kind of let these pre-release firmwares out. Yep, that's it. It's not Microsoft's fault. All right, how many of you believe Microsoft? All right, you over there, put your hand down. I can't see it. You know how stupid that was. Someone in chat says maybe. Wrong! Loud, incorrect buzzer noise. No, Microsoft is in fact incorrect, because people have been able to replicate the problem with SSDs that worked on earlier versions of Windows 11. The only factor in this is in fact the Windows 11 version. Now, tests are still being done as to exactly why, but there's been a couple of people, in fact, YouTuber Jay's 2 cents has actually had his bench testing SSD suffer the exact same problem when his test bench updated the latest version of Windows. He's had the same SSD in his bench test for 2 years. It is not a fresh batch of SSDs with pre-release firmware on it that flies in the face of the evidence that testers have actively made public. A for effort, Microsoft. A for effort. But it's no. Good try though. Good try. I gotta respect the hustle. I've also got to respect the fact that it looks like Intel might in fact. Oh wait, no, this is the wrong story. All right, no. New topic. Spotify is finally adding lossless streaming for audio and podcasts after almost a decade of teasing that they were going to add it. 8 years after they teased they were going to do it. 8 years of teasing. Oh, lossless streaming audio. Lossless audio streaming. They're finally doing it. At long last, you can enjoy lossless streaming audio on Spotify. So, yay? So what do we complain to Spotify for not adding next? And before you sarcastically say AI, they've already added AI. In fact, actually, I found this out recently by accident. Spotify has added some AI sorting tools to their podcasts. I found out, I thought these were originally just teased pluses that they want me to buy. No, it's actually currently active in this podcast. They automatically chapter out my podcast and generate titles for each chapter. And you know what's terrifying? It's actually really good. It might actually be some of the best work I have seen out of AI. Like here, let's take a look at last week's podcast. The opening chapter, the Gigabyte motherboard's missing pins and the AI markup. That's literally what I talked about. I was talking about, in fact, about how a Gigabyte motherboard was missing a whole lot of pins in the PCI Express slot. And the sole reason was that they can mark up their AI branded motherboards. Spot on. Windows 11 corrupts SSDs, China's NVIDIA ban, and AI privacy flaws. That's about right. 4chan sues the UK, Google's monopoly, and AI's scary reality. Android shares audio, but headphone jacks are doomed. YouTube's restricted mode and Twitch's viewbotting scandal. Google locks down Android. The end of sideloading. Samsung Pixel handhelds and the PS5 price increases. Hollow Knight's pricing shakes up gaming economics. I would have actually put Silk Song's pricing, but that's really close. The quick hits of Valve, the iPhone 17, and Doom runs everywhere. And then closing off with Farewell and playing Doom on a mist projector, which is like my little outro thing. This was all automatic. I didn't put any of these in. I did not put marks in to mark chapters. I didn't come up with any of the titles. But that is like scary close to what I might actually do. And now you're going to go on there on Spotify next week and then find out there's going to be one section now bookmarked with Eagle saying, "Whoa, AI good at podcasting?" question mark. If it does do that, I didn't do it. I swear. Wasn't me. Nah, it's crazy. Crazy, I tell you. Also, chat, why would I have a chapter titled "Old Man Yells at Cloud"? I would never yell at the cloud. My cloud is over in the dining room. Silly. I have no reason to yell at the cloud. I already own my own cloud. Oh man, I wish I had this earlier. I completely forgot I had this. Encyclopedia Britannica is now suing the Perplexity AI answer engine because Perplexity has been using the encyclopedia and Wikipedia to go ahead and produce all these answers via AI search and driving views away from Encyclopedia Britannica. I want to believe these sort of cases go somewhere because it does seem insane to me. It really does, to think that the AI just skimming the open web, taking all this information, repackaging it, and driving all these views away from the actual sources. Like, I don't know how you look at that as anything other than theft. And yet every single court so far has sided with the AI robbery. And I gotta ask, I unfortunately know that nobody knows the answer. Where does it end? Internet news outlets are already struggling and having to try and put a paywall up. What happens when all the news just goes into AI and no one visits CNN, MSNBC, Fox, or whoever? Pick your global news poison. BBC, Sky News. I actually don't even know how popular BBC or Sky is across the pond. I don't know. I don't know anything. Their online presence is already struggling. What happens when all the traffic dries up? Someone in chat asked, aren't they all AFP thefts? Yes and no. So a lot of news sources, what they do is that each of the major news sources will have their own reporters and then report exclusives. And then when they don't have exclusives, they'll just go ahead and report on someone else's work and then cite according to the Associated Press or according to CBN News, according to MSNBC, according to Fox. I'm kidding. No one cites Fox News. They all hate Fox News except for Fox. They'll all just go ahead and cite the other news source. And like, that's been legally considered fine, but the AI doesn't. Most of the time anyway. It's special. We'll call it special. But it is just yet another sign just to say, hey, you know what? That whole AI thing, it's crazy. And it's just going to keep getting crazier and crazier the way it keeps going. That being said, however, here's a very interesting development. An AI firm by the name of Real Simple Licensing is trying to implement a pay per output where content creators get paid every time that their AI engine puts out a result that uses their content. Maybe this will end up being the answer, but unfortunately, because of the way the courts have been ruling, I almost don't see this catching on for the sole purpose that why pay per output when you can steal per output? But in the end, only time will tell how well it's going to catch on. The other thing it's going to also just result in is saying, hey, my 1/10 of a cent per output is an insulting rate. We'll have to see how it goes now, won't we? We're going to take our first break here. When we come back, I want to talk about the woes that Silksong is encountering, as well as everything that Apple has just announced. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. Definitely had no problems during the break. Why would you think that? Here's a chance for some less than reputable gaming journalists to go ahead and bait you with a bad headline. You see, we all know that AAA gaming really dislikes Hollow Knight Silksong. Mostly because it's a successful indie game and the fact they decided, you know what, we think our game's only worth $20, which is apparently a sacrilegious thing to do in the gaming community right now. To which I say, piss off. So now, how's this for a headline? Silksong reviews drop to mostly negative for Chinese players due to confusing translations. Now, I get it. It's 2025. We have excellent, and I do mean excellent, translation tools. We have almost no excuse for mistranslation this day and age. However, here's my counterpoint. Back in my day, we went ahead and had many imported arcade games and video games from across the pond, and the translations to English were rough at best. But did we complain? Nay! No, we didn't! We instead had fun with it. We made memes about all your base are belong to us, about how they get signal, or heck, we had so much fun with so many NES games and SNES NES games, all the Spoony Bards out there, all the Princess Salsas in FF5, the Wyverns that should have been Wyverns, the Wyverns or the Succubi that were, or the Wyverns that were actually supposed to be Succubi, or I forgot how it actually went. There's Dingleberries that should have been Tonberries. How can I forget that? The Meteos that should have been Meteors. A winner is you. I'm sure every single old school gamer here on this side of the pond, and even the other side of the pond, can probably list tons upon tons of hilarious mistranslations. Did we complain about the game, say it was awful because they went ahead and said we get signal, main screen turn on, and every other hokey, weirdly translated thing out there? No, we just enjoyed the game. And I know this is going to sound condescending, but in the case of Silksong, just enjoy the game. It is a fantastic, difficult Metroidvania game. Here's what I will say though. If you are bad at these kind of games, do not stream it. I have been enjoying more of Hollow Knight off stream than I ever did on stream, because I raged out of Hollow Knight. Even though I suck at the game, I've been enjoying it way more now that I'm just not streaming it. I'm just saying. But let me also tell you about another story in the video gaming space, because this one's also really funny. Because while Silksong is getting negative reviews from Chinese players, I want to introduce you to the current top 100 games selling on Steam right now. And the list is fairly predictable. But let's see if you could look at this list and tell me which one of these things is not like the other. At number 1, we have Borderlands 4, followed by Counter-Strike 2, then Marvel Rivals, then Helldivers 2. Okay, we seem pretty normal so far. The Steam Deck, for some reason, is just there. Okay, at number 5. Number 6, Hollow Knight Silksong. NBA 2K26, for some reason, is allowed to be sold. Path of Exile 2, Warhammer 40K at number 9. The Femboy The what? Yes, a porn game! A hentai porn visual novel game is at number 10 on the top bestsellers on Steam. I don't know. I don't know if this is just the sheer number of people that want this specific brand of degeneracy, or if this is just that many people buying this one brand new, very clearly pornographic game. I cannot show the trailer on stream. I literally can't. Oh my God. It's just, I don't know if it's just that many people wanting this specific brand of degeneracy, or if this is all in protest of Visa and MasterCard, as well as Collective Shout. I don't know which one it is, but I will tell you, I find this hilarious. Like, I personally am not gonna buy this game because my Steam profile, first off, is publicly available, and also it's you know, it's not the kind of game I stream at all. But I do find this really, 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 really funny. Like, more funny than you could possibly imagine. So, congrats, Femboy Fuda House, for you know, on number 10 for whatever reason, and for beating Destiny 2 and Shape of Dreams. Someone said they checked via their browser and now it doesn't appear at all. I actually want to go ahead and check on my Steam. It might now just be gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, Warhammer 40K is now in the 10 slot for me. And nope, there it is. This is my live Steam store page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It's at number 20 right now. It's still there. It just means it's no longer high enough to be on the front page. Which, yes, it was on the front page for a while. Which also is really, really funny. I can't stress how much I find that really, really funny. So, there is that. You know who's not gonna appreciate, though, that style of video game? Someone in chat says it's only 46th place in the EU. Oh, I can't believe the European Union is not cultured. They're not cultured enough. Okay. You know where that kind of game is not going to show up, though? It's not going to show up on Apple. And Apple has announced a lot of new stuff, including the brand new AirPods Pro 3. Their third generation of their AirPods Pro has been announced. AirPods regular are still exactly the same. But these new AirPods Pro 3 do support new health monitoring features, including having a heart rate sensor that activates during workouts, as well as a new, very slightly redesigned design to better fit in the ear. And unlike the rest of the world, the price of the AirPods Pro is staying exactly the same at $250. So, you know, they just jacked up your price ahead of time. And yes, they are USB-C, not Lightning. So that's the first thing they announced. Next up, they also very briefly announced that there's a new Final Cut Camera 2.0. It is an in-purchased application that lets you have finer control of your iPhone camera to go ahead and shoot higher quality movies with your phone, to which I'd ask, what are you doing? I mean, I guess if you really want to go ahead and be super cool guy and try to take like really high quality video with your phone, I'd argue the basic one's enough. But you know, if you're really into that with your iPhone, by all means, go for it. The app is there. I want to say that Final Cut Camera does have a subscription. Final Cut Camera 2.0 will be available later this month as a free download. Okay, I lied. Or update on the App Store. Final Cut Camera 2 requires iPhone 10 or later running iOS 18.6 or later. Some features will require iOS 26. Brief note here. After iOS 18, they are changing the way they number iOS to just be the end year. So this is not 8 different versions between iOS 18 and 26. iOS 26 is just what comes after iPhone OS 18. Just to clarify that. So, you know, decent update. Meanwhile, on the Apple Watch world, we have the new Apple Watch Series 11, which looks exactly the same. But this time, the screen is more scratch resistant because it has that nano ceramic nonsense that I want to make fun of it, but it actually kind of works. It actually does make it pretty scratch resistant. So actual decent upgrade, not gonna lie. In addition, the new Apple Watch 11 will also have a better battery life, as well as having hypertension notifications, as well as a sleep score. So now your watch can judge you. You will have judgment passed upon you by Tim Cook on how well you slept. This is now going to start ranked competitive sleeping between you and all of your Apple friends. And if you just have an Android watch, you automatically lose. So as an owner of a Samsung watch, I guess I suck at sleeping, which actually checks out. I do suck at sleeping. So crud, they're right. Prices, of course, staying the same for the Apple Watch Series 11. We'll get into the whole with that in a bit. The Apple Watch SE3, this is their cheap version of the Apple Watch, now offers an always on display, which the previous versions had, new fast charging, and that's basically it. They got a few features, but they're still not quite up to bar with the Apple Watch 11. The new Apple Watch Ultra 3, the one that includes such amazing features as a button and a raised face to make it slightly more scratch resistant, now will support up to a 42-hour battery life and what basically just sounds like something that only you need in Star Trek, an emergency SOS function via satellite, as well as, of course, the new hypertension sensor that the new Apple Watch got, as well as the sleep scoring thing that the Apple Watch got. The big thing here is the fact that it's a 42-hour battery life, not quite 48 hours, but 42-hour battery life, and emergency SOS via satellite. Now, of course, the question becomes, what are the prices of these new Apple Watches? The answer is the fact that I forgot to open the pages for these. The new Apple Watch Series 11, which apparently only comes in the option of, aluminum finish starts at $399. If you want it to also have cellular, that will increase the price to $499, and then tack on another $30 if you want the 46 millimeter screen versus the 42 millimeter screen. The titanium edge version of the Apple Watch 13 starts at $699 and goes up to $750 for the larger 46 millimeter screen. The cheap watch, the Apple Watch SE3, only comes in GPS versions, or doesn't have GPS. I actually don't know. Oh no, never mind. Starts at $249, can go up to $279 for the 44 millimeter. If you want cellular, that's another $50, and that appears to be it. So your most expensive cheap Apple Watch is $329, unless you want a stainless steel band, then it's $379. Honestly, the price difference between the base and the cheap version is not as bad as I would have thought. I would have thought they would have been closer. That's really not bad. Huh. And then finally, for the expensive version, it starts at $800. To which the rest of us go, okay, that's the Apple I know. And before you ask, yes, Apple did in fact spend almost 30 minutes of the keynote telling everyone these very niche stories about how Apple Watch saved people's lives. Of course, Apple did that. You knew they were going to. I knew they were going to. Anyway, the Ultra Watch starts at $800. It can go all the way up to $900. Welcome to Apple. If you want a button, it's about a $400 upcharge. Typical. And then, of course, Apple did introduce the new iPhone 17, which I'm actually going to go ahead and instead of using the news reports like I lazily grabbed, actually grab the tech spec page like I should have done. Some little on the fly live editing. All right. So iPhone 17, it's pretty much what we kind of expected. Okay. It looks very familiar to the last gen. The biggest thing that the base iPhone got is a better front facing camera. It is now a square sensor, meaning that it's better at taking like wide angle selfies, or not wide angle, but like wide framed selfies. So if like you and a group of friends want to go ahead and express your vanity like so, with an arm sticking out like I'm doing right here on the video podcast, you're going to get more people and more of your arm like this. So, you know, that's kind of neat. But the big thing is that finally high refresh rate comes to the iPhone 17. There is now up to 120 hertz refresh rate screen on the iPhone 17, as well as a better ceramic shield on the phone. That's basically it. They didn't even pitch Apple Intelligence nearly as hard as I thought. There's like a couple of things where it's like, oh, you can do this thanks to Apple Intelligence. No, you can't. Shut up. But for the most part, it's a new iPhone. It's kind of just, it just is what it is. The price on this, it's honestly not bad. It starts at $800. There is still also the cheap iPhone 16e. They'll still be out at that budget TM price point of $599 if you really want new. But, you know, for a new iPhone, it is what it is. All right. And it's now available in lavender, sage, mist blue, white, and block. I hate the colors. The only color I'd get this in is black. Oh yeah, also the ceramic shield is on both the back and the front. That's another thing they added. So all in all, the base iPhone 17 refresh, not that big a deal. No, the big talk is what came next. The phone that we saw Apple making from miles away. Everyone saw this phone coming. You thought it was coming years ago. I thought it was coming way sooner. We all thought that Apple would do this eternities ago. Apple made finally an iPhone Air. They went back to their roots. They went ahead and made a device that was already respectably thin and made it way too thin because they could. They've done it. And of course, they got away with it because they went ahead and made a small chunk of the device way thicker than the rest and put all of the compute right into that giant thick spot. So yeah, this thin portion of the iPhone Air is all battery. All the compute is in this hump right here where the camera is. And before you go, oh, that's fine, it's just a little camera bump. Even your frickin' even your Samsung phone has a little camera bump on it. Oh no, you don't understand. This camera bump extends the whole length of the phone. Like, they're doing their best to hide it in these promo pictures, so you don't see it, so you don't know. There we finally go. Nope, the thing freaking flipped over to the other side. No. Get over here. Get over here. Get over here. You're not hiding this. Now, of course, the frame of this thing is titanium because, well, how else were you going to get this thing to be so thin and not snap in two? The thing is coated with ceramic shield on both the front and back. We do have an action button. We have all the normal stuff with it. And by the way, it's so thin, it is basically the width of the USB-C port. If this thing gets any thinner, the port will vanish. People in chat are just like, won't this thing be top heavy? I don't know. I suspect it'll feel a little top heavy, but at the same time, batteries are heavy. And if the rest of the phone is battery, it might even out, but I don't know yet. Also, it's also important to note, this thing does not support stereo speakers. Down here is just microphone. The only speaker it has is the amplified earpiece. So on pretty much every modern smartphone, you have an amplified earpiece that works as a speaker, as well as a speaker on the bottom, and that gets you stereo sound. This phone does not have that. It only has sound through the earpiece. So I can't wait for teardowns to happen. I can't wait for Jerry Rig Everything to get his hands on this and see if he can snap this thing in two, because I am extremely curious to see what they did. It's gonna be very, very entertaining. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the price of the iPhone Air. You're not gonna buy this because, first off, its colors are sky blue, light gold, or also known as Caucasian, cloud white, also known as white, and space black, also known as black. This thing starts at $1,000. All right, real talk. I hate it. You'd think my stance on this would be, that's really funny. I can't wait to see how many suckers are dumb enough to buy this stupid thing, and then laugh at them for spending $1,000 on a phone with fewer features, and the only novelty being that it's more breakable. You'd think I'd laugh at that. Here's the problem. Every other tech manufacturer is a dumb, brain-dead sheep. Every single one of them. No one in the tech space innovates anymore. Like, they pretend to innovate. Occasionally they actually innovate, like with folding phones. That's a mild innovation. Sometimes you actually get sparks of innovation. But you know what almost every single brain-dead tech company does? You know what Samsung does? You know what LG does? You know what Dell does? You know what HP does? You know what they all freaking do? They all copy Apple. So when Apple goes out and makes a device that is incredibly stupid and a horrible value for everyone involved, guess what everyone else does? They copy the same freaking terrible design that Apple was dumb enough to do. So we all get to look forward to not only Apple making a stupid snappable earphone with all the compute in a bulge, which is just bait for anyone who knows any kind of furry memes to go, notice his bulge, ooh woo, what this, and make fun of the phone that way. Which, by the way, I can't wait for mainstream media to look at that term as something else entirely, but that's a completely different subject altogether. Get to that never. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this. I'm really not looking forward to this. This is a terrible buy. Don't buy this. Either get the regular if you don't need that much power, or get the Pro. Because here's the thing, you know the battery life's going to be worse. You know this is going to be a terrible value. You know it's going to be more breakable. You know what's even better? You can fix the battery issue. You want to know how you can fix the battery issue? Waiting to find it. There it is. They have a magnet attached battery pack that will triple the thickness of your iPhone Air to recharge it. I can't wait to find this in out in the wild. I can't wait to find someone that has the thin iPhone Air that they paid extra for and then spent another however much this battery pack is. I don't know. I don't think I can actually get the price for the battery pack, but I really want to try. Yeah, this says 27 hours of video playback versus 30 hours that the iPhone 17 has. So I'd assume the iPhone 17 actually has 25 hours of video playback, and the iPhone Air actually has probably 18 hours of video playback. I have no way to find out how much that battery pack is. We'll have to find that out another time. Or maybe it's actually right here and I'm just blind. It's $100. I don't think I have anything else to say. Let's just move on to the iPhone Pro. The iPhone 17 Pro, which has the worst font ever. My eyes are insulted by this font. Also includes the world's biggest frickin' camera bulge to ever blight the planet. And here's the best part. Remember how before the iPhone 12 Pro, or not the iPhone 12 Pro, but the iPhone, whatever it was, the 15 or the 16, kept preaching that they now use a titanium frame? Guess what? We're back to aluminum. The entire body of the phone is aluminum. Again, it's not even steel. It's an aluminum unibody. But we have this chunk of glass right here, just very awkwardly on this thing. The main reason being, they have switched now to a vapor chamber cooling solution because the A19 Pro chip, which by the way is also allegedly in the iPhone Air, needs this much cooling. It also has an upgraded display, but really the biggest news is the redesign. It now finally looks different. Upgraded cameras, upgraded display, upgraded processor. You know, it's a new iPhone. All right. And just like last year, it starts at $1,100 or $1,200 if you want the one with the big screen. But I'm not going to lie, the iPhone 17 Pro Max does have a very nice display, mostly because it's 6.9 inches. So that's it. That is pretty much the entire iPhone lineup. We can go anywhere from $800 all the way up to $2,000. I mean, at least there's the option for a 2 terabyte phone. My counterpoint would be, I bought a Ford Fusion for $2,000. So, I mean, which would you rather have? The iPhone Pro Max with 2 terabytes of storage, brand new, or a car? I'm just saying. We're going to take our last break here. When we come back, I want to talk about the emulation that you never asked for out of Nintendo. Yeah, they've introduced a new form of retro emulation for a Nintendo platform nobody asked for. Literally, no one asked for this. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. One thing that came out after the iPhone update, or the iPhone keynote, is the fact that the iPhone 17 will add an option to make your OLED screens flicker free. Now, apparently, when you look away at your OLED phone, you may notice like a wave-like moving pattern diagonally across your vision for a few screens. This happens based on like something about the like active refresh rate and that sort of thing. There is an option now in the iPhone to go ahead and reduce that, regardless of whatever brightness you're at. This is specifically to disable a feature called PWM. So you can switch from PWM. Did they say what PWM is? Oh, here we go. Pulse width modulation. It's one of the two methods to control brightness in OLED and LED LCDs. So there's an option to go ahead and disable PWM and then switch to DC dimming or direct current dimming. So your brightnesses may not have that like as sharp an effect, but if the PWM is causing issues, you now have the option to disable that. So, I mean, you know, decent little update. All right, I've been teasing this. Let's talk about the new emulation that Switch is offering. All right, this is now available for the Switch and the Switch 2. So if you have a Switch, you can do this too. For those who don't know, if you have a Switch, like I have right here, you can go ahead and pay Nintendo a monthly subscription and you get access to a catalog of retro games that were originally on the NES, the Super NES, the Game Boy Advanced, the Game Boy Pocket and Color and all that generation, as well as the N64. What's next? Maybe the Nintendo DS? Maybe the GameCube? What's the next retro system they could go ahead and offer a catalog of games on? Oh, maybe we go even older. Maybe we go to the Game & Watch. No, it's none of those. For some reason, Nintendo decided, you know, you need to experience the failure of the company. You need to experience the poor life decision. You need to experience the Virtual Boy. And here's the best part. Okay, we're not getting this until next year. But apparently, the Virtual Boy Virtual Console requires an add-on. It requires a $100 poor life decision to cement your poor life decision that you stick your Nintendo Switch or Switch 2 into, you know, to cement the fact you made a poor life decision so that you too can experience the Virtual Boy. Now, $100 is a steep price, but it's okay. Nintendo has you covered. If you don't want to pay $100 to experience Nintendo's failure, you can instead, for $25, get the Virtual Boy Cardboard Edition. I thought I was being memed on. I thought this was fake until I double checked to make sure that I was at Nintendo.com. $25 to strap a cardboard box with acrylic lenses and a plastic nose piece to your face so that you too can look like the dumbest person in the room. I'm amazed. This also now does mean that Nintendo does in fact sell a $25 box that requires an online subscription. You could also frame it that way too. A $25 box that requires an online subscription to use. Remember when Nintendo didn't make you depressed? Yeah. Good times. That was over a millennia ago. We need to talk about not, someone in chat said, remember when Nintendo inflicted you with migraines? No! Because my parents were smart enough to never buy a Virtual Boy. I only got to real talk. I only ever got to experience the Nintendo Virtual Boy at Blockbuster. When my parents wanted to go and get a movie to watch for the weekend, I'd come along exclusively to just play whatever game console was out on display that we didn't own. And since when growing up, it was just like only like the NES or the Super NES, and then eventually the N64. It was always like the Sega consoles, or the Philips CDI, or the Virtual Boy. I only ever got to play the Virtual Boy thanks to Blockbuster. I only ever got to play Mario Tennis and some Wario game, I think. And that was it. Now then, in drastically different news, engineers have I want to actually figure out exactly where these engineers and these biochemists are at. And I don't see where listed anywhere in this article. I might just be blind. But scientists have discovered a new pathway to engineering plants to make them suck up more carbon dioxide, which short term, probably a really good thing. Long term, I wonder. I really do wonder. This is going to be interesting. But in any case, yeah, this is honestly very interesting of a scientific development that you could go ahead and make plants absorb more CO2, which most likely would mean they would put out more oxygen. Oh, actually, here we do have a location. It is literally just researchers in Taiwan. No wonder I couldn't find it. I was looking for like some kind of institute name. Nope, it's just researchers in Taiwan. Okay, then. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens here. It's again, very interesting. Don't know what the long-term ramifications will be. Is this going to be a massive net positive? Is it going to be a big net negative long-term? It's hard to tell. You know what is really interesting, though? The last burb. The last story of the day, the weirdest story of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, Elon Musk is at it again, making a preposterous, absolutely bat squeak insane promise. Now, you might be wondering, what's the promise this time? Is it for a flying car? Is it going to be for a vacuum underground tube that travels at warp 7? That'll take you around the world in 30 seconds or less? Is it the first spacecraft able to travel to the edge of the galaxy? What insane promise is it this time? Well, Elon Musk promises that with Neuralink, human to human telepathy will be possible. In apparently a, quote, few short years. No, not in a few short years. I don't think this could be possible in a few short years. With that said, though, I gotta wonder if in a few short years, human to human telepathy will be possible. How long until Elon just looks at old Command and Conquer and makes Yuri from Yuri's Revenge actually possible? How long until we got the guy with the human head implants that looks like a cage on his head with weird tubes going to it that is able to not only send messages directly to the brain, but orders directly to the brain? How long until the sci-fi mind control is possible, Elon? Or, you know, maybe, just maybe, we'll see how long this human to human telepathy actually takes. Spoiler alert, I think this podcast will probably end before human to human telepathy is possible with Neuralink. With that said, that's it for just this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. We're not done with the podcast yet. We're not going to go ahead and weasel our way out of it by just declaring this being the final episode of the podcast forever. We're not weaseling out of it that easy. But that is it for this week for Eagle Eyes on Tech, and I do encourage you to check out my other works, twitch.tv/EagleFalcon and youtube.com/EagleFalcon. I'd say check me out on Twitter, but you know what? I'm feeling happier not being on Twitter. So maybe I'll keep doing that for a while and only interact with Twitter through auto-posting tools. Take care, and I hope you have a good day. Bye-bye. Someone in the chat also brought up the main antagonist of Gundam F91 as also being a possibility. I actually am not familiar with that one. I need to go ahead and catch up on Gundam. How old is that one? Is this the part where I find out that Gundam F91 is one that I should have watched already because it's from like the early 90s or something like that? Oh wait, it might be. Ruh-roh. No, man. Now I gotta be told to eat my veggies and catch up on anime. Yep, sure enough, I was right. March 16th, 1991. Frick! More evidence that I'm uncultured in the world of anime.